In this lesson, we'll build the base for the chin strap. So now we've got the helmet assembled, we need to build the chin strap for this. And in our artwork, it's kind of just laying on the floor, so you can't really see it too well. So we'll just go ahead and build it without the use of our image there. But what we want to do is go ahead and create a primitive, and let's create a primitive box to begin with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just draw this out. I'll make it a little bit longer than it is wide there. So now we can come in and modify these parameters a bit. So I'll turn on edged faces, and let's go ahead and just scale this out a little. Okay, we want to make sure that we add some segments. We also want to make it not quite so thick, maybe something like that. And you can scale it, or you can change the parameters here. Okay, so we've got parameters this way. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of length segments. Let's go ahead and add a few width segments as well. We want to add enough segments to be able to shape this. Okay, height segments I'm not going to really worry about too much. Okay, let's go ahead now and convert this to an editable poly so that we can edit some of these sub-objects. Let's take these vertices on the ends, on the two ends, and let's just kind of move those together. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and take all of these guys, all these vertices here. Let's go ahead and scale these out and out in this way. So something like that. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead now and take this center part. Okay, and let's go ahead and inset this just a very small amount. Something like that. And then let's extrude that down in. Okay, and let's go ahead and delete that. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at right now what this looks like when we just smooth it out. So you can see we get this sort of inset here, and we get a nice smooth line. Now, we can decide if we want these corners to be a little bit tighter. I think I'm actually going to leave it like that. Okay, so now that we have this, I want to go ahead and create a new primitive, and let's create a plane. Okay, and I'm going to draw this onto here, just very roughly, and let's go ahead and drop this in here. Let's pull this up above that bottom a little bit. Okay, we can now kind of scale this so it sort of penetrates in all the way around. Now in our modify panel, we can go ahead and change some of the segments. So you can see the length segments we don't really need to worry about at this point. Let's go ahead and up our width segments quite a bit. Maybe something like that. Okay, let me go ahead and pull this up above here so we can see this. Okay, now we want to add these ridges, so these sort of ridges to this. So let's go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. Let's go to a polygon selection, and let's select all the polygons. Okay, and let's now do a bevel. Let's open up the bevel settings. All right, we want to do it by polygons. We'll choose by polygon. Let's go ahead and take the height down. Okay, and you can see it's kind of inside out right now, so we'll go ahead and take down that outline amount closer to 0. Okay, until we get kind of something like that. All right, say OK to that. And now when we smooth this, you'll get something along these lines, which is kind of what we want. If you want to tighten up the edges of that, all you have to do is go ahead and take your editable poly, take your swift loop, and just drop in a couple of edge loops here. And that'll kind of tighten that up. So now if you take that and smooth that out, you can see that those ridges are now tightened up quite a bit. You can drop that in to this little indentation here. Okay, for this base of our chin strap. If you want to combine both of these together, okay, you simply take any one of these, okay, and we'll go to attach and simply attach that. Okay, we'll go ahead and change that color, change it to a gray color, and now if we just select this itself, we get a nice sort of smooth looking piece there. Okay, so with that, we can now start to add a little bit of deformation to this. So if you want to really deform it in a very manual way, you can come in with your deformer. So go up to our FFD, and we can grab some of the points. Okay, so maybe grab these center points and move those up a little bit. Okay, maybe grab all of these and move those. Okay, and so you can really start to deform this a little bit. Now we haven't set it down on the table yet, but you can come in. Let me show end result. And if you want to drag this down onto the table or onto the any sort of surface that you may have here, and then you can use your FFD to kind of put this into position. Okay, so right now we don't really have any sort of a plane going on. If you want to add a plane to set this on, because it's not going to be floating in midair, you want some sort of a surface for it to be on. You can go ahead and bring that in. Okay, and just kind of drop that in. And that'll at least give you something to put this on, and then you can kind of shape it a little bit more naturally. Okay, you can go back and look at your FFD and think, well, I've got one side of it is going to be actually attached up to the helmet, so in that case this side's going to be up a little bit more. Okay, maybe this side is going to be kind of laying on the floor, so maybe it's rotated a little bit, and just think about how that's going to be added there. Now if you're building this for a character, you may want to actually build this onto his face, so it's actually shaped to the face. Just depends on what your application is that you're going to be using it for. Okay, so I'll go in and just shape that, and I'll just leave that on there in case I need to do any more shaping on that. And I can kind of rotate this around and just move it into position, keeping in mind we are going to have the straps coming off of here. Okay, so that's a quick way to create the base for our chin strap. Now let's use some splines to actually create the straps themselves. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.